Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to the glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my Twitter handle, and RHOLM22 is mine. You can reach us on Facebook. You can reach us, not Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. As far as that goes, and then also rate, review, and subscribe. I want to thank all you guys for doing that. So thank you for joining the show. Raider fans, USC fans, you know this channel is all about you guys. So I did want to talk about one subject really quickly that's non-Raider related, was the gambling situation from the with the Colts DB. Forgot his name. But what do you like what do you think should be kind of either done, or what should be kind of what road should the NFL hierarchy travel here with players? Because you already have some cynical fans who think, this is fixed, this is rigged, whatever. And you can't have a situation where players are gambling on games that they're either playing in or playing against somebody or whatever. Like, what are your thoughts about what should they do in this situation?
Well, if he gambled and he broke the rule of the league, then he should obviously be suspended. Working for a professional sports organization, I will tell you that it's posted. You know about it. You get emails about it. We have to do every year. We have to sit down and take a course to know exactly what we can and can't do. I just did it like a month ago.
Yeah.
And they stay on top of that. So these players, I'm assuming, have to do it yearly. They talk about it. They bring someone in spring training in baseball. They bring someone in every year to talk to the guys in the clubhouse. So they try to keep these players informed as much as they can. I'm not allowed to have a DraftKings account. I can't have those daily bet stuff. I just can't do it. I can't have any offshore accounts. And I know that. I know that up front. So the players are the same way. So if they're breaking the rules and they're making bets, that's on them. They have to have the discipline not to do it.
Yeah, it just makes all the. Is that little sneaky money, if you will? My grandmother used to talk. My grandma used to always say, make real money, not sneaky money. So is that money is not even like over your salary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not even over what you make in the league. So why do it? I would think that, a player of Calvin Ridley's ability and stature, him losing a year of his career, would seem like, hey, I'm not going to do this. But I guess, I guess that wasn't the case as far as that goes.
I don't know the specifics on the NFL policy, but from just hearing what happened to those players, they can't do it at the club facility. They can't do it at the practice facility. They can't do it at the stadium. And I know, as far as Major League Baseball, I can't bet on a baseball game. I can bet on other sports. I just can't bet on a baseball game. And I'm okay with that. So I'm assuming in the NFL, it's something similar as well, where they can't do it from their mobile device or a computer at the facility. I'm assuming they can't bet on football games as well in any capacity.
Yeah, 100%. Any around the AFC real quick. One thing is the Broncos did sign
Clark.
Clark. Do you feel like he's gonna? Obviously, is he a piece that could really help that defense?
Well, they lost Bradley Chubb. They traded him to the Dolphins, so they need a pass rusher opposite of Randy Gregory. And if memory serves me correct, I'm pretty sure Draymond Jones is not there anymore. I think he signed elsewhere in the offseason. So they lost a couple of guys off their pass rush. If he moved on, I could be wrong on that one. But they definitely need an outside guy opposite of Randy Gregory, who was also injured last year. So they have to be prepared in case he misses time as well. So for what they paid, it maxes out, I think, at $7 million over 1 year with a $5.5 million base.
Yeah.
I want to say Draymond Jones is with the Seahawks, but I could be wrong. But They need pass rush. They're in the same division as the Raiders. They have to figure out how are we going to get to Justin Herbert and how are we going to get to Patrick Mahomes. And you take a chance on a little bit of older, a little bit aging pass rusher at a decent amount of money, then you have to do it. And obviously they're in a win now mode of Russell Wilson. They're not waiting around.
No, they gotta do it now. Any OT buzz from the Raiders that you've heard this week? I know people are talking about a lot of different things. What are your thoughts about, I mean, what is the OTAs is just really to just make sure people are in shape and they're headed in the right direction with their body composition, right? I mean, there's not guys, there's nothing, there's no pads, there's nothing really, crazy to kind of go over, right?
A lot of it is technique work, and then again, a lot of it is install with the offense and the defense, some changes they made to the playbook from last year, and obviously having a bunch of new players on this roster, they have to start over with a lot of the concepts, a lot of the schemes to bring those players up to speed. Most of the time, it's at like half speed, 3/4 speed. Like you said, they're not running around in pads. No one's hitting anyone. The bullets aren't flying. It's basically a glorified walkthrough. So to hear about guys having success in one-on-one drills or, a quarterback makes a pass, like we don't know if it was against the starting defense, the undrafted free agents, the 90th guy on the roster. Like it's basically a glorified 7-on-7. You can't rush the pass. You can't hit the quarterback. So it's nice to hear that guys are succeeding, but you're hearing that out of 32 different training camps right now about everyone on their roster. You're not seeing any reports about so-and-so struggling. And you would expect not to in that environment. You shouldn't if you're a professional football player. So we'll see what happens when training camps start and the pads go on and it gets real. And then hopefully as they get into the preseason games, and I understand they went 4-0 last year in the preseason, and we all thought they were going to have a better season, but just to start to see some of the players they're going to rely on. And the good news is hearing about Bennett at cornerback, getting a lot of run with the ones and pushing for a starting job. That would be great if he could do that year one. But this is not an easy scheme to pick up on defense. So I'm more interested in the Diablos, the Merrigs, guys in the second year in the system, Hobbs. What do they look like? What are they going to look like when the lights turn on? Because if those guys don't make big jumps, the defense is not going to improve.
Yeah. I mean, we can, I'm looking at a defensive unit now. We did have ESPN did rank the Raiders offense or ranked. How did the rank go for ESPN? It was your core players. They ranked your top 5 core players.
Top 5 core players and where you ranked in the league, and they did it based on the age of that core and kind of the composition. Obviously, the quarterbacks. If you had younger quarterbacks, that was stressed heavily. They had the Raiders coming in at 17 on that list, and if you just a quick look at it, their 5 core, according to ESPN, are Jimmy Garoppolo, Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, Colton Miller, Josh Jacobs. So 4 of those 5, pretty good players. Adams is getting up there in age. The other 3 are younger, but kind of what pulls that group down, I think, is Garoppolo, where he ranks in the hierarchy of quarterbacks. If you look at the top of the list, it's Kansas City, it's Cincinnati, it's Buffalo, it's Philadelphia, not in that order, but the younger quarterbacks that have had success really drive these lists. So without that piece on the roster, coming in 17 somewhere in the middle of the league is kind of what you'd expect.
Yeah, for this team, and it's not what you want, but I mean but that's where they are. That's where they are. You would think a team that spent as much money as they have would have a little bit higher rank as far as that goes. Can they? I mean, I'm sure one of these defenses. Spend a little bit of time on the defense. I'm sure one of these. You got Butler, you got Farrell Jr., you got Young, Matthew Butler, Silvera, and John Jenkins, who is again from what I hear, is John Jenkins about ready to retire before the Raiders called. Are they? Can you survive with a slimmed down version of Chandler Jones and then Bilal Nichols and Tillery? Are they going to start Tillery and they can't start both of those guys? They can't.
No, they won't be able to hold up,
especially on first down.
I think you're going to see Byron Young get in that rotation. Like I said, he's going to play that, I think, defensive end in that 3-4 front with Jones outside of him, opposite Crosby, and they're going to one of those big bodies, Jenkins. Hopefully Neil Farrell Jr., one of those 330-pound guys is going to have to play the nose. And then you could put Jenkins and Crosby, and that way If you can line up Nichols, Farrell, assuming Farrell can hold his ground and eat up blocks, that's all you're asking him to do is clog up the
Yes,
middle, don't get
exactly.
pushed aside, eat up two guys, and let the linebackers make the plays.
Mhm.
And then Young's a really good run defender, so you could survive that way. If you have to put Tillery out there is a 3-4 defensive end along with Nichols, and then you don't have that stalwart in the middle, they're going to get run all over right up the gut.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I'm just looking at it right now. I just don't. It's just that spot in the middle, man. And this is, it's gonna be tough. And now you gotta do have Tyree Wilson, who hopefully that foot is gonna be fine and he'll be ready to go. I know people are still. I'm telling you, we watched the film on Malcolm Kuntz. I know y'all still keep talking about Malcolm Kuntz on the edge. I don't see anything there to make you feel like he's gonna contribute at a high level. I don't know how you feel about it, Ryan, but this is that defense is going to be tough. I mean, you got to earn the right to get this rush to passer, and getting a third down might be getting a third and long might be a tough chore for the Raiders.
I think what they're hoping to do is be able to play a lot of nickel, which is what they did last year, and then you can kind of survive with some of those guys. If you have Nichols,
Mm.
and Young can hold up, and obviously if you can have Wilson and Crosby on the field, now you got three guys that are pretty good against the run. And then if you can slide Hobbs inside at nickel, then he can hold up against the run as well. And then Epps is a pretty good player as a strong safety. So and then Spillane's a pretty good run defender. So I don't think you have a lot of issues there. It's when they're in base
Mm.
and they have to be able to stop with those front three guys. They can't count on the linebackers to be able to get off blocks and make plays because they just don't have those kind of guys really on the roster. So we'll see. It's they're going to be playing nickel probably
A lot of time,
55,
yeah.
60% of the time. That's what you do in the NFL now. And then they're going to go into their specialty dime packages where they'll have three safeties on the field. So we'll see. But when it's nut cutting time in the fourth quarter and they have to stop the run on 1st and 10, can they do it with the current group they have? And I think they can survive. I don't think this is going to be a top 5 or top 10 rushing defense in the league, but there's no
Mm.
reason why they can't be somewhere 12 to 15 as far as stopping the run.
And I think, I mean, they have some young active bodies at that position. It's one of those, some of those, one at least a couple of those guys have to come. I mean, it's all about, like I said, we talked about player development in our previous episode, along with Mariah Carey. But so we talked about that in our previous episode about like developing a guy like the Divine Diablo. Like those tackles. I mean, somebody got to develop. I mean, this job is there for your taking. Like, I mean, if you have opportunity to become a top line, I mean, a starting defensive tackle in the National Football League who can make plays. I mean, this is where, Farrell Jr. and Butler and Young and Matt Adam Butler, Matthew Butler. One of these guys got to come through. So hopefully they can.
I'm hoping it's Neil Farrell based on where they took him, what his specialty
Yes,
was in college, that he
exactly.
was a run stuffer. And I just, think that off season, his first full off season, hopefully like he got in better shape, he got stronger, he got in the weight room. And you're hoping that with all the second year guys, like what physically, how do they look? Because a lot of them just went right into OTAs, right into training camp, right into the league, played 17 games and got worn down. So the jump these guys are going to make is this year with the guys they have on that front.
Yeah.
And if something happens to Crosby or if Wilson's not ready to go, then we have some real red flags that are going to start to get raised.
Yeah, no question about it. Linebackers, like we talk about the Divine Diablo. I'm worried about him playing alongside Spillane on passing downs. But Amari Burney, what looked like when his tape is like where his strength is in pass coverage. So hopefully he can come in, because I don't know if, I mean, Butler and Masterson look like just weaker versions of Diablo and Spillane. Like when you go down the line, they like look at the same guy, just a little bit worse.
Still like Powell, I think something's going to happen. Pull him out is going to play maybe in the nickel and definitely in the dime. That he's going to be that coverage kind of linebacker they're going to bring up and be able to blitz. He showed that ability, and then be able to cover with his length, some tight ends and some backs out of the backfield. So they like him, and I could definitely see it being Palomar and Diablo in the nickels, the two backers.
Before we go to some questions here, would you keep Moreg at strong safety. He had some. I mean, I know you got. I mean, Epps is there, so I mean they got Epps there. So we'll see if Epps. But it seemed like he just did such a good job there last year of covering tight ends. What are your thoughts? Or you think that it's going to be just they're going to play three safeties at times and there's going to be swapping out positions?
It's going to be tough because you want Merrick. He was at his best when he was in man coverage up on the line of scrimmage later in the season. And asking him to play free safety, it's a totally different defense than he played under Gus Bradley, where he's basically just playing cover three and responsible for the middle of the field. Can they play Epps at free safety a ton of snaps? I don't think that's the best use of him. I think you need him up, but he's not a very good coverage player either. He's not a big guy, more of a run stuffer, a sure tackler. So it's all going to depend on the development of those linebackers. If the linebackers can prove that they can handle the underneath coverage and handle the tight ends, then you can put Merrick back at free safety. But this is kind of like a puzzle where all these pieces kind of have to come together. And if we take a piece away, it totally changes the dynamics of this defense and what they can and can't do. Holomau is going to be a big key here. Smith can't do it. He's too small. He's not going to be able to go down and play man coverage on guys. He's basically just a free safety if he gets some snaps. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be a lot of mixing and matching. You know, maybe Tyler Hall plays some slot. Maybe you can use Hobbs to do some of that if you get the guys on the outside can handle the outside responsibilities. So they're really going to have to figure out what they have here because they don't have guys where you can say this guy's going to do this and this guy's going to do that. It's kind of everything is going to have to come together.
And I do think Jacorian Bennett is one of the picks that kind of excite me a little bit here. I'm hoping that he can just kind of just take the bull by the horns here and give the Raiders a third corner if they end up starting let's see here. Well, I mean, right now looking at Duke Shelley, David Long, and Hobbs is kind of the staple. But I mean, if he can get one of those spots, man, it'll be kind of good to see his just finally a rookie who we can in the secondary we can be excited about.
In that mix too.
Faison is a big. He played in that Gus Bradley defense, and the Raiders did play some cover three last year as well too, right? So that could be something. Yeah. That could be something that he can help out.
They play a lot of different defenses.
Yeah, they do. Well, depending on they do it. Depending. You gotta learn a lot when you play for. You will pay for Patrick Graham as far as that goes because it's my opponent a lot of the times as well. So let's see here. What do we have? From Jeff here. Jeff has questions about the quarterback position. You know, if Jimmy cannot, if he doesn't start, if he gets hurt, do you see Aiden O'Connell playing at all this year?
When does he get hurt? Like first 5 or 6 games, or does he get hurt in week?
Let's 15? Just say, well, he didn't say anything, so let's just say it's week 7.
Probably still leaning on Hoyer. He's a veteran. Get him in and out of the right plays. He knows the offense. He's not going to throw over 300 yards and slice defenses up, but I think knowing Josh McDaniels and how he wants to run the offense, don't turn the ball over. I don't know if O'Connell can adjust all the different defenses he's going to see, plus with just all the route combinations and all the different things the receivers are going to do based on the defenses after the snap. That's asking a lot of a rookie quarterback to understand all of that, everything that's going on. You saw Carr miss and Adams miss on a couple of routes. Just guys were on the same page. We're in fro, guys running into the wrong spots. So I think that's a lot to ask of a 4th-round quarterback. And I know there's reports he's solid, but we don't know if he's playing the first team defense and they're in shorts running around. So like I don't take any of that. A lot of stock in any of that. So I mean, I don't want to say it, but a 37 or 38-year-old Brian Hoyer probably, if you're talking about the first half of the season, if anything happened to Garoppolo, he's probably going to get the first chance.
Derek wants to know he's out there in New York, wants to know Max Crosby, did the Raiders do enough to help him not get triple teamed? I don't know. I can't say.
I mean, they spent a top 10 pick on a pass rusher, so I'm going to hope.
I mean, he has to. I mean,
I'm going to hope yes.
Yeah, player development. Yeah, I hope
the issue is going to be the interior. What kind of pass rusher they can get on the interior? They didn't really add anything in there, so it's going to be incumbent upon Nichols to go back to kind of the form he was before he got to the Raiders, and then Can Jerry Tillery give them anything as a nickel pass rusher? Because if those guys can't, then now you can keep the tight end on Crosby's side. You can slide the protection. You can chip with the back on whoever the other defensive end is and play one-on-one inside. So it's going to be. I'm going to say probably no. I don't think they did enough.
Yeah. I would say I would be nice if they could do a little bit more, but I mean, top 10 pick. We'll see if that's worth it as far as that goes. Did you have anything you wanted to kind of pop in here for the show? Any questions you wanted to?
Yeah, I think like last year, and I hope the Raiders don't do the same thing where we kind of talked about all the depth they had in the wide receiver room, and then all of a sudden they just started, let's get rid of Demarcus Robinson, let's move on from this guy, and they kind of dwindled it down, and then a couple injuries, and they were left with nothing. Like this seems like a pretty good group of wide receivers again. I'd like to see them find a way to keep 6 of these guys around in case there's injuries, in case something pops up, because I think right now you have Adams, Renfro, and Myers. Those guys are pretty safe. I'm going to say that Tucker's safe too, based on where they drafted him. I'd like to see I'm a big Sims guy. I think Cam Sim finds a way to get on this team. Big-bodied, red zone target. He can block.
Yep.
And then what do they do with the rest of the guys? I'd like to see DeAndre Carter hang around for punt return if they need him. He can add a speed elements, and maybe Dorsett. At least he can offer some speed and win a go route every now and again. So I'm watching that wide receiver room. I'm hoping they find a way to keep 6 of these guys, and they don't just start moving off guys quickly like they did last year. And the next thing you know, guys are hurt, and Renfro goes down in week 2, and then they're playing Keelan Cole all season. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm looking at going into the training camp.
Yeah, very interesting to see what happens there with the Raiders. It's always a story, so we'll see what happens as far as that goes. This channel is USC and Raiders. I just want to ask you one USC question. So the schedule came out for next year for USC, their opponents. You have one ticket. You only can go to one game. Are you going to see them play a home game against, and this is when they enter the Big Ten, against Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, or Wisconsin? Or would you go to or an away game where you have a chance to go see them play Penn State?
Can we add LSU to that? Don't they play LSU that year?
They play LSU in Vegas.
At Allegiant. Which I'll the minute those tickets go on sale, I will have. I will have them.
I'm sure you will.
If I had to choose from the list you gave me, I would probably want to see them play Michigan, just for the rivalry, the history, the Rose Bowl factor of it.
Harbaugh.
Big Ten versus Pac-12. Yeah, Harbaugh. Just kind of reliving the 90s, the 80s when those two teams would clash in the Rose Bowl, I think would be cool. And then, the away game at Penn State. Don't think I want to go to State College and be a USC fan sitting there in a whiteout at night and freezing cold in November. So I'm going to say I would want to see them play Michigan.
I'm interested to see one. I'm really want to see because they play they do play. They play Maryland. Their away games are going to be Maryland, Northeastern, Purdue, and then Penn State. I'm going to see how this schedule thing works out. That's going to be interesting to see what happens as far as that goes. But we do have some time here. Got a long term. So last episode we did a breakdown of Mariah Carey favorites for both of us, top 5 Mariah Carey songs. Is there and we do these lists, during the summertime because it's not there's no games to talk about. Is there a hip hop artist or another movie? We did we've done movies in the past, top 5 baseball movies, favorite baseball movies. What would you want to kind of put on the palette for next week?
Just sit down and think about that. Going to see the Spider-Man movie on Saturday. Haven't seen it yet. Maybe top 5 Spider-Man movies. My daughter's huge into Marvel, so I think I've seen all of those. She just made me watch that new Ant-Man, the one that just came out. Yeah. The Quantum Realm. That movie, I couldn't get through it.
That was tough.
2/3 through it, I was kind of like, oh wait, my daughter left the room. Let me just kind of slide out of here. But
that's tough.
No, we'd have to think about it. Like you said, we've done top 5 Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody texted me and said top 5 Tribe Called Quest songs. Could do that.
Check the Rhyme, number 1.
Yeah,
easy.
but I don't know. Let Your Relaxation is perfect hip hop song. It's nothing wrong with it. Nothing. possibly wrong with that song.
We could do top 5 artists that left groups and went to a solo career of the 90s hip hop. Like that,
Ooh,
we could run down a lot of those
that's a
guys.
lot of people, and then Ice Cube would be high on that list. It has to be.
Bobby Brown's on that, definitely on that list.
I don't
Q-Tip
think
might be on that list.
Q-Tip's on that list too. Q-Tip's on that list too. So
Despite the beard and the Harley Davidson look, I know quite a bit about 90s hip hop music.
yes, Harley Davidson look. Oh man! All right, cool beans. We'll get that.
Maybe the listeners
We'll think about it.
could make comments of the top 5 lists they want to see.
Yes, that's true. We can do that when the show's
because the 3
out.
Mariah Carey fans that watched the prior show will probably want to know where's their favorite musician top 5 list. Like they can go ahead and put that in the comments.
And it's funny too because like they're like you went from like 2 Raider fans we're talking about. We're not talking about like hip hop or metal or anything like that. We're talking about Mariah. But yeah, it's
the greatest, the GOAT.
The GOAT. She's the GOAT. So say what you want. She's the GOAT. I have one more thing, but I can't remember it. Raider Nation, take care. Be safe out there. Enjoy your summer. And we'll keep that going. If you live in the East Coast, I mean, dude, I'm sorry about those fires. Those fires are like, it's crazy. But I mean, we've lived through it here. I mean, on that orange sky, we've seen that out in California before. So just
I'm flying to Boston next week, so hopefully that's kind of out of there. So
yeah, some of these flights are getting canceled
see.
like crazy. So you gotta be careful. All right, Raider Nation. Ryan, take care. Safe travels.
Take care.
Peace.